In January 1944, the U.S. Army created one of the most unusual units in its history, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, later known as the Ghost Army. Its 1,100 members were not ordinary soldiers, but artists, designers, sound engineers, and radio specialists trained to fight the enemy with deception rather than firepower. Their mission: to mislead German forces about Allied troop strength and positions through inflatable equipment, fake radio networks, sound effects, and theatrical trickery. Conceived by Colonel Billy Harris and Major Ralph Ingersoll, after observing British deception successes in North Africa, the unit became America's first mobile tactical deception force. Between 1944 and 1945, it conducted more than 20 operations across France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Germany. Their story remained secret for over 50 years. Formation and training. Activated on January 20, 1944, at Camp Forest, Tennessee, and commanded by Colonel Harry L. Reeder, the Ghost Army assembled an unusually intelligent and creative group. Their average IQ, reportedly 119. Recruited from art schools, ad agencies, and design firms, its ranks included future luminaries such as fashion designer Bill Blass, artist Ellsworth Kelly, photographer Art Kane, and wildlife illustrator Arthur Singer. The unit was divided into 4 key elements: 603rd Camouflage Engineers, managed visual deception with inflatable tanks, trucks, and artillery, creating convincing dummy camps and vehicle formations visible to German reconnaissance. 3132nd Signal Service Company Special, created sonic deception using recordings of armored movements and troop activity, played through massive loudspeakers mounted on half-tracks. Signal Company Special conducted radio deception, impersonating entire divisions through fake communications networks, using authentic call signs and even distinct Morse code personalities. 406th Engineer Combat Company provided protection and built physical effects, such as bulldozed tank tracks, to reinforce illusions. After months of training at Camp Forest and Camp Pine, now Fort Drum, New York, the unit shipped to England in April-May 1944, just before D-Day. First operations, trial and error. The Ghost Army entered the European theater 2 weeks after D-Day. Their earliest mission, Operation Elephant, July 1944, aimed to conceal the 2nd Armored Division's movements in Normandy. Despite creative efforts to replace real tanks with inflatable ones, poor coordination and limited equipment reduced its effectiveness. However, valuable lessons were learned about the importance of consistency in unit insignias, radio traffic, and operational timing. Operation Brest, a baptism by fire. In August 1944, during the Siege of Brest, the Ghost Army executed its first full-scale deception using all methods: visual, sonic, and radio. They simulated 2 armored battalions of the 6th Armored Division to pressure German defenders. Operating within 800 yards of enemy lines, they projected convincing tank noises and installed dummy artillery batteries that successfully drew German fire. Tragically, poor coordination led to friendly losses when real U.S. tanks advanced through an area deliberately targeted by the deception. Operation Brest proved the concept's value and refined the team's professionalism. Operation Bettemberg, proving their skill. In September 1944, during Operation Bettemberg, the Ghost Army defended a dangerously thin stretch of Patton's Third Army front in Luxembourg. They created the illusion of a large, well-fortified sector using inflatable armor, fake radio chatter, and sound effects. This week-long operation became a turning point, executed with precision and professionalism, and convinced higher command of the Ghost Army's tactical worth. Dangerous work, Operation Bouzonville. Not all missions went smoothly. Operation Bouzonville in March 1945 lasted only 33 hours, but was the unit's costliest in casualties. 2 men were killed and 15 wounded when German fire struck their position near Picard, Germany. In total, 3 Ghost Army members died during the war, and dozens were injured, a reminder that deception was often carried out within range of enemy artillery. The greatest success, Operation Viersen. The Ghost Army's crowning achievement came with Operation Viersen, March 18th to 24th, 1945, supporting the 9th Army's Rhine River crossing. Their task was to simulate the 30th and 79th Infantry Divisions, about 40,000 men, while the real units secretly moved elsewhere for the true assault. This elaborate deception included over 600 inflatable vehicles arranged into realistic encampments, continuous sound effects of tanks, trucks, and bridge building, fake radio networks mimicking real division traffic, artillery flash canisters and signage to add authenticity. The Germans were completely deceived, directing heavy fire toward the decoys. When the real divisions attacked miles away, they met minimal resistance. Reports later confirmed the crossing achieved complete surprise, saving thousands of lives. Even captured German maps showed the fake divisions exactly where the Ghost Army had placed them. General William Simpson commended the unit for its critical contribution, and Colonel Reeder later remarked that this operation alone justified their existence. Tools of illusion. The Ghost Army's operations were a blend of art, engineering, and psychology. Their inflatable vehicles were carefully painted with dirt and wear to appear battle-tested. Camps were dressed with props like fuel drums, laundry lines, and cigarette butts. To mimic realistic movement, the unit periodically deflated and relocated equipment. Their sound recordings, captured during real military exercises, could recreate every acoustic nuance of an advancing armored column. Radio operators developed personalities and even made small talk over the airwaves, maintaining the illusion for German intelligence. Artists at war. Despite their dangerous missions, the men remained artists. Many kept sketchbooks, documenting the landscapes and people of wartime Europe. These drawings, by future luminaries like Kelly, Blas, and Singer, became lasting records of creativity amid chaos. Their dual identity as soldiers and artists made the Ghost Army a truly singular phenomenon in military history. War's end and secrecy. After Operation Viersen, the Ghost Army's combat role ended as Allied forces swept through Germany. By May 1945, they were reassigned to humanitarian duties, aiding tens of thousands of displaced persons. Returning home in July, they disbanded quietly. Because their work was classified, members were forbidden to discuss it, even with family. For decades, they could only say they served in Europe. The secrecy remained to preserve similar deception tactics for potential Cold War use. Not until 1996 was the Ghost Army officially declassified. Rediscovery and recognition. When their story finally emerged, historians estimated their efforts saved between 15,000 and 30,000 American lives. A 2013 PBS documentary, The Ghost Army and Museum Exhibits Across the U.S., revived public awareness. In 2022, President Joe Biden signed the Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal Act, and in 2024, surviving veterans received Congress's highest civilian honor. Only a few were still alive, including 98-year-old Bernie Bluestein, who said, "We proved that creativity can be just as powerful as force, that imagination can defeat firepower." Legacy. The Ghost Army's success demonstrated that warfare is not only about weapons, but also about perception. Their blend of art, technology, and psychology pioneered modern information warfare and psychological operations. Today, US military deception specialists still honor them as the originators of their craft. The Ghost Army's story endures as proof that courage can take many forms, not just in battle, but in the quiet bravery of those who risk their lives fighting with illusion instead of fire. These artists turned soldiers turned creativity into a weapon, showing the world that sometimes the greatest victories are won not through destruction, but through imagination.